Hello everybody, Donnie here with Family Tales. I hope everybody is doing great today. It's a beautiful day where I'm at, but anyway, if you do like these Reddit stories based on relationships, family drama, bridezilla, etc., please consider hitting that like and subscribe button and the notification bell.
Date me, 23 male with my mother, 55 female. She wants to repair our relationship and I don't know if I want to. Original post. My parents separated when I was 17. The reason was that my mother was unsatisfied with her life and started to plan to leave my father. Her plan was to buy another smaller house and slowly furnish it until she was ready to just leave with me and my little brother, 9 at the time, and move in with her high school sweetheart who she had previously cheated on my father with. I knew, and my mother made me promise not to say anything to my father. My father found out before she could finish. I was out of town at church camp and had just gotten back into town. Before I had begun to unload my luggage, I got a phone call from my father explaining to me what had happened and how he found out and asked if I knew. I broke down and told him everything. My parents began to race to get to me first. My father got to me first and just asked me to ride with him and to let him tell me what was going on. And then after, we would meet in a neutral place and I could freely decide on what I wanted to do. I chose to stay with my father. I hoped that if I chose that my mother would come home and put this mess behind us, but she didn't. The next 3 to 4 years, 11 to 14 years, were the roughest of my life. My parents fought constantly over everything: visitation, money, assets, and the family business. I tried to stay neutral through it all. My mother decided that I was a lost cause and began to treat me like my father. She would say horrible things about me, things that I shouldn't know, but I do because I read my father's copies of her motions to the court. Several times she accused that I was brainwashed and I didn't know any better. She said that I had physically and sexually abused my little brother, that I was helping my father do the same, and even told me that once to my face that I was disowned because I don't visit and love her anymore. She told my little brother that I hated her and didn't want to be a family anymore. I didn't want to visit her. To me, my mom and her new boyfriend were a big part of why my family was broken. During the divorce proceedings, her side of the family treated me like I was filth for living with my dad and didn't talk to me. I sat in a small room in the back of the courthouse alone, waiting to testify to what I knew. I never had to. Thankfully, they settled out. I was old enough, I chose where to live. My brother split custody. During the present time, my mother now wants me to be part of her life. She wants me to visit multiple times a week and basically go on like nothing has happened. I see her on all holidays like Christmas, Thanksgiving, Mother's Day, her birthday, and mine. I'm 3 weeks from graduation at my local university, and my father and I have worked hard to pay off student loans and take care of me. She has, in the past 5 years, paid a total of $2,000 only. She claims that this was her way to repay for her absence during the first 4 years of college. I go visit every now and then, like 1 to 2 times a month. Today was one such visit. She told me that I have 3 weeks, then she expects to see me multiple times a week and for us to repair our relationship. She said that I needed to because I only have one mother, and that because she is starting to get sick and disabled that I needed to be part of her life. I told her that we would have to sit down and talk about this. Reddit, I'm torn. I don't know what to do. I want to be there. I want my mother to be part of my life, but I am afraid, actually terrified that if I do let her back in, there will just be a repeat of things. I don't want to go back into those moments of my life. As of right now, I only go there for my brother. I know he's having a hard time dealing with all of this. What do I do? Now for the comments before reading the update. She said that I needed to because I only have one mother, and that because she is starting to get sick and disabled that I needed to be part of her life. There's no regret whatsoever in her request, no apology of any kind on how she effed up or for how terribly she treated you. I'd not try to reestablish contact. She will inevitably disappoint you. She is getting sick and disabled, so she wants you to take care of her. Nope, OP. She is trying to manipulate you. Stay low contact or even no contact if she is too demanding. 3 visits a week demanded after she basically treated you like dog duty and then abandon, IMHO, what she sees in you now is your earning potential and how it can benefit her. Just remember that she accused you of physically and sexually abusing your brother. There are things that are unforgivable. I will cut her off forever because next time she is going to call CPS on you when she doesn't get to see your future children as much as she wants, or she will accuse you of abusing her if you don't keep her happy. She is toxic and dangerous, and I will keep her away from your life where she can't hurt you. Honestly, you can tell her to take her desire for a relationship and shove it. You've seen the court documents that describe exactly what she said. You've heard what the rest of the family thinks, and she's done everything in her power to destroy you and your dad. She can take a long walk off a short cliff for all you care. So what if she's getting old and disabled? She should have thought of that before she did what she did. Doing so will probably result in you never seeing her again, but you don't sound like you want to have anything to do with her anyway. Edit. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I will definitely update as to what happens, but I will not let her take my life over. I am better than this. I need better. Thank you. My mind is clear and made up. Now for the update. First off, I want to say thank you for your help and your advice. It has been extremely eye-opening and has given me the resolve I needed. Thank you. Well, a lot has happened in the last month, so I'll try to catch everyone up. I did finish classes, yet I missed the deadline to apply for graduation, so I'll officially graduate in the fall with my BA. Woot! After graduation, I sat down and seriously started to think about how I wanted to approach this and what I needed to say. My girlfriend decided that I was moping way too much and decided that we needed a vacation. So she and her family invited me to San Antonio with them just to get away. Long story short, I had a blast and it freed my mind from that depressing thought. Wednesday, we decided to start the long drive back. About halfway back, my mother called me. She asked what I was doing that Friday and Saturday. I responded that I had no idea, that I may be working on my car. She wanted me to be the last-minute DJ for my cousin's wedding. Mind you that my cousin hasn't talked to me unless she wanted my help or to chastise me for not already doing more with my mother. Nevertheless, sending me an invitation. I didn't respond and said maybe. I made it back in town Thursday and my mother called me again, asking again. I asked what exactly they needed. She got my cousin to call me and they needed someone to, not a DJ, but to press the play button at the right time. I politely declined, stating that I needed to get my car in working order so that I can get to work and back. Blown head gasket. My mother called almost as soon as I got off the phone and tried to guilt trip me into going, saying that my cousin started to break down and cry. I wasn't going to have it, so yet again I declined. She afterwards, being noticeably upset, promptly hung up. I didn't hear from her until the following Friday, when she told me that my great uncle had passed away. Now, my entire family was close to this family. His visitation was on Sunday evening. I served as the college pastor at the church that I attend, and that particular night I was in charge of the evening service. So I dressed up fairly fancy for the sermon and the visitation after. Now, an important note is that my foster sister came with us to the visitation. My mom and sister do not get along due to some really bad history. We, dad, brother, sister, and girlfriend, pull up to the funeral home and my mother is standing outside. My sister and dad walk by her, no comments or words. My brother and I stop and hug her. She says that I look nice. I said, yeah, I had to preach tonight. She stops and says, thank you for the invite, really nasty, and storms off. In the parking lot, behind her, is the man that she cheated on my dad with several times. I'm standing there, mouth open, and she storms off. Not really sure what just happened. Stunned, I walked inside and go through the visitation with no other incident. I get a text from her after saying that she is heartbroken, that I broke my promise, and that she finally sees who is more important to me, that she has tried and tried to earn my love, and that she is tired of begging and slaving, and she will not beg anymore. I'm already tired and emotionally drained, so I just ignore it. The next day, she is talking to my little brother over the phone, and he gets really quiet. Starts to just say, no, that's wrong, or that's not what happened, etc. Now, my dad records all of his phone calls due to problems in court and accusations. It gives a clear and defined alibi. In that phone call, my mother is ranting about how horrible of a person that I am, that she still has Bob, the guy she cheated with, in her life to help her take care of herself because your brother won't get off his lazy ass to come and help me like a real man would. It's okay though. He will get what's coming to him. He will. Now I know this because I was curious and snuck my dad's phone away without him knowing and listened. There are other things, but that line made me stop. As of this moment, I am done. Should have been done a long time ago. I have not had any contact with her since then. Don't plan to anymore for any reason. Any gift she sends for birthday or graduation, I will send back. I cannot have that toxic influence in my life anymore. I am 23 years old. I'm a grown man. I have a life to live, and it's not hers. I can only hope and pray that someday it will change. Sadly, that day is not today. Story 2. I, female 30, am questioning our plans to move in together because my boyfriend, 41 male, can't tell me that he loves me. I've been dating my boyfriend for more than 10 months, and it's honestly been wonderful. We get along so easily. He is attentive to my needs, a warm and welcoming person for the most part, and has integrated me into his life, introducing me to family and friends. His lease will expire next February, and he brought up searching for a new place together. We have started looking at apartments, but I feel increasingly insecure in the relationship, and am looking for advice on how to move forward. The first time I shared my feelings for him, I told him I was falling in love after 4 months of dating. Admittedly, that was quite early on, and it was understandable that he didn't reciprocate at the time, but he literally only said, "That's nice," in response. We had a bit of an emotional discussion afterwards, where I told him this made me feel rather unsure of his feelings, but he reassured me that we are fine and it didn't weigh too heavily on my mind afterwards. Fast forward another 6 months and we had a lovely weekend together, and I casually told him that I loved him. No big moment or anything, but we had been drinking a bit, and the only thing he said in response was that he would like to hear me say that when I'm sober. It didn't come up the next day, but 2 weeks or so later, we were lying in bed and talking about the move that may be ahead. And I was honest with him and told him I felt a bit insecure to share my feelings with him at this stage because he hadn't reciprocated. And this makes me nervous about our move. He told me that it made him sad that I was so focused on words rather than action, that he had serious feelings for me, that he really liked me. I have to admit, this made me so sad to hear. I asked if he could tell me the reason why he wouldn't say he loves me, but he said he couldn't. So here we are. Of course, he shouldn't say it just because he feels forced, so I feel like I shouldn't bring it up again. But at the same time, it feels absolutely insane to me to move in together with your partner when they can't tell you that they love you. Is that valid? Is it a bad sign for our future, or a lack of emotional connection? Should I give him more time and proceed with our plans for now? I don't know if I'm being overly anxious or if this is as bad as it feels. Any advice or experience is much appreciated. Now for the comments. Not sure if this will get buried under all the comments, but just wanted to thank you all for sharing your thoughts and in many cases, also your personal experience. It is all extremely validating and helps me focus on my needs. Take care of yourself, honey. He is way too old to not be able to communicate love in a way his partner will receive it. Moving in with him will mean you're living with someone who doesn't love you or someone who isn't going to let you know, and you have to decide if you're okay with that. And it doesn't matter why he can't say he loves you. It only matters what you're going to do about it. I agree, and also had a whirlwind romance with a guy I met on Reddit, in our 30s and both financially stable, and we're happily married 10 plus years later. But I'd caution anyone against relying on when you know, because for every story like ours or yours, there's an equal and opposite. I knew it was too soon, too intense, not right, and wish I'd listened to myself. There should be definite outward tangible factors of a successful relationship, IMO. OP needs to listen to what her boyfriend is saying, or not. Everyone should look at their partner's actions, values, and words. I found out that my husband had gone home one day after classes. We were in college in his hometown, and I had moved here for school, and told his mother that he met the girl he was going to marry, but he had to get her away from her boyfriend. I had been dating someone for 3 years and was planning to marry them until I met my husband. I broke up with my boyfriend pretty soon after meeting my husband. We were happy for almost 44 years when I lost him to a terminal illness. Those years flew by. I wish you a lifetime of joy and love together. Story 3. I, 26 female, rarely see my husband, 27 male, because of his work. In 12 years of being with my husband, I had never seen him less because of his work. My husband is an aerospace engineer and has suddenly promoted to a new division in the company 2 weeks ago. Ever since then, he has been working absurd hours, and I rarely see him. He comes home a maximum of once a week for no more than 2 hours. The last time I saw him was yesterday at midnight, when he abruptly came home with 2 coworkers and began ransacking the house for coffee, energy drinks, pens, books, pencils, and paper. He went into our attic and took all of his college papers and textbooks. All of them looked exhausted, with eye bags and messy hair. He hardly acknowledged my presence, being focused on retrieving the supplies they needed. We were supposed to go to Argentina to visit my family, but it seems he won't be able to anymore. I hate not being able to see him. I want it to end, but I don't know how to deal with the situation. Considering I have such little time to talk to him about anything, are there any other options besides waiting for him to finish his work? Edit. He came home briefly last night, and I was able to ask him a few questions such as, how long is this going to last? Why he is putting up with it, etc. He admitted that he wasn't actually promoted, but instead volunteered for the position and knew the hours he would have to work. He absolutely refused to elaborate on what he was doing and told me it would take about another month if he or any of his coworkers would take time off. He seemed a little passionate about the project, but wouldn't specify what it was. He also made it clear that he wouldn't be coming to Argentina. To answer a few questions, I have a very small support system here. My parents moved back to Argentina. My sister lives in Florida, and I have very few friends who live around here since we had to move for his job. Also, no, my husband doesn't work for SpaceX. He works more with planes. Texting is also near useless because he can't take his phone into his office. Now for the comments. As an aerospace engineer, and from my experience, this seems rather odd. It actually sounds insane and toxic, to be honest. Usually the job is ordinary, 9 to 5 or 7 to 3, with maybe 2 to 4 hours or so a day of overtime, maybe, only if it's required. So this project must be insanely late or something, but to be working 22 hours or however long it is minus commuting is outrageous. There must be another explanation. No sane organization would allow that. You'd result in shitty engineering that could ultimately cost lives. I work in the UK, formerly an aerospace engineer, and unless he has signed a waiver, we have working time regulations that need to be adhered to. The only time the waiver is signed is if folks go out on sea trials, for example, if working on a ship and need to work around the clock. This sounds like the company culture at parts of SpaceX. You need to send your husband a note asking him to take the weekend off, and then once he's a little rested, have a serious talk. This kind of schedule is bad for his health, and it's bad for the projects. Unfortunately, if it is established company culture to burn the candle at both ends, he may not have a lot of say in the matter, and then it would be time to have a talk about finding another position. You two need to have some time to figure out what the expectations of the position are and whether it's sustainable for your family. I'm wondering if this is a scenario where they brought husband into the new division to help fix an already sinking ship, aka a huge project that was effed up, and that is why he's spending all of his time on it. It definitely is toxic, but something similar but not as bad happened to my dad, who is an aerospace engineer. Got taken off his successful project to fix a failing one, and it was chaotic. He was working way longer hours than normal, trying to find a way to make it work. I will say that he never was working at midnight and not coming home at night, though. The way he is being overworked seems like a mental health that doesn't even matter to the company he's at, and not in the regular way companies don't care. It seems like only a matter of time before he starts experiencing psychosis, likely already experiencing depression and anxiety. Wow, my heart hurts for OP and her husband. This isn't sustainable, not just for work, but for life. I'd be very worried about him and what may happen as a result of his mental and physical health being harmed like this. I hope he is able to get out of that environment soon. That's all for today. If you're enjoying this story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you.